Boker Tov, good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is having a great start to this Saturday, this Shabbat. So let us begin today with a prayer of gratitude, Modeh or Moda'ani. Before you, living and enduring sovereign, for you have mercifully restored my soul within me. Great is your faithfulness. We are well into our 7th week, just a couple days away from the holiday of Shavuot, and this week that has been entitled Arriving. And so it felt appropriate to spend some time this week talking about what happens after the end of the Torah, after the end of Moses' life, as Joshua is truly leading the people into the promised land. Before we go into that, let us say our blessing for this day. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sefirat ha'omer. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who sanctified us with mitzvot and commands us concerning the counting of the Omer. Hayom shemona v'arba'im yom, shehem shisha shavuot v'shisha yamim la'omer. Today is 48 days, which is 6 weeks and 6 days of the Omer, which means that tomorrow will be our very final day of counting the Omer. So I want to thank all of you for being here throughout this Omer counting season. There's a practice that if you miss a day of counting the Omer, then you can't fully say all of the blessings in the days going forward. And you have to be in community in order to be able to truly partake. But so many of you have taken part in this every single day, and you've been my motivation to do so as well. So I want to thank all of you, Jay and Tina, Tom and Eve, Marla and Andrea, Diane and Reva and Susan. So good to see all of you. Jay. And I know there are other people here, but I don't see everyone's names. The Facebook algorithm doesn't let me see everyone, but I am so grateful for every single one of you for being present, for being here in sacred community, counting these days one after another. So I'd like to take us into this piece, and it's all going to be, hi Pat, hi Barbara, hi Cheryl, more people popping up, wonderful, good to see you all. These days of the Omer bring us to this teaching from the book of Joshua. And I'm going to include a few different texts here to kind of walk us through, because I think there is incredible symbolism and incredible beauty in what happens in these first 4 chapters within Joshua. You might know that in the Tanakh, so the Tanakh is made up of 3 sections, the Torah, which is the 5 books, which ends with Moses' death and the people going into the promised land, and he's watching them from afar. The next section is the Nevi'im, the prophets, but it actually begins with the book of Joshua. It begins with what's happening as Joshua is leading the people in. And it includes all of the prophets. And then, of course, the final section, which is Ketuvim, all of the writings like Proverbs and Psalms and so on. All of that falls under the Ketuvim. But here we are at the very beginning of Joshua. And it begins with these words that I find to be so powerful. Chazak ve'amatz, be strong and resolute. For you shall, I'm hiding my text from myself. There we go. For you shall apportion to this people the land that I swore to their fathers to assign to them. But you must be very strong and resolute to observe faithfully all the teachings that my servant Moses enjoined upon you. Do not deviate from it to the right or to the left, that you might be successful wherever you go. Let not this book of the teaching cease from your lips, but recite it day and night, so that you may observe faithfully all that is written in it. Only then will you prosper in your undertakings, and only then will you be successful. I charge you, Chazak ve'amatz, be strong and resolute. Do not be terrified or dismayed, for the eternal your God is with you wherever you go. As the people prepare to walk into the promised land after 40 long years of wandering, they are scared. They are scared because they had heard the reports of the spies many years ago about giants that had lived in the land. They were scared because it was new, as much as they didn't like having to wander through the desert, seemingly aimlessly at points. They at least understood what that looked like. But here, as they started something new, walking into the promised land, it was understandable that they were anxious. And so these words that appear 3 times in just as many verses, Chazak ve'amatz, be strong and resolute. Follow the teachings, follow everything we gave you, and you will be okay. These words are a comfort. These words remind the people of how strong they truly are. The text continues and says, early next morning, Joshua and all the Israelites set out from Shittim and marched to the Jordan. They did not cross immediately, but spent the night there. 3 days later, the officials went through the camp and charged the people as follows. When you see the Ark of the Covenant of the Eternal your God being borne by the Levitical priests, you shall move forward, follow it. The idea was that this Ark of the Covenant, and it contained the 10 Commandments. Obviously, that is definitely on our minds since tomorrow evening we'll begin the holiday of Shavuot. It contained the 10 Commandments, both in their full form and also in the broken form from the first time that Moses went and got the 10 Commandments and then shattered them when he saw the people who were worshiping the golden calf. The Ark of the Covenant contained all of that, the broken and the whole. And what was to happen is the Levitical priests were to walk in the lead in front of the people. And so the people would literally, not just figuratively following the Torah, but actually literally follow it into the promised land. Now select 12 men from the tribes of Israel, 1 man from each tribe. And when the feet of the priests bearing the Ark of the Eternal, the sovereign of all the earth, come to rest in the waters of the Jordan, the water coming from upstream will be cut off and will stand in a single heap. The priest who bore the Ark of the Covenant stood on dry land in exactly the middle of the Jordan, while all Israel crossed over on dry land, until the entire nation had finished crossing. And what does this remind you of? The Exodus, of course, right? There, the water parted so that the people could walk from slavery into the promised land. And here, as they are entering the promised land, again, there is a miracle that happens where the Levitical priests holding this ark stand on dry land. This is very, very purposeful. But the symbolism doesn't just end there. It continues. Select 12 men from among the people, 1 from each tribe, and instruct them as follows. Pick up 12 stones from the spot exactly in the middle of the Jordan where the priest's feet are standing. Take them along with you and deposit them in the place where you will spend the night. This shall serve as a symbol among you In time to come, when your children ask, what is the meaning of these stones for you? You shall tell them, the waters of the Jordan were cut off because of the ark of the Eternal's covenant. When it passed through the Jordan, the waters of the Jordan were cut off. And so these stones shall serve the people of Israel as a memorial for all time. The text is telling us of how important it is to mark these occasions, these miracles, these turning points in our lives. And it also goes back to this idea once more of what happened during the Exodus. For the eternal your God dried up the waters of the Jordan before you until you crossed, just as the eternal your God did to the Sea of Reeds, which God dried up before us until we crossed. The power of this is that at this moment, when the people are entering the land, the people are experiencing yet another miracle. The miracle that they are experiencing looks back to the beginning of their journey. There is no way to enter the promised land without reflecting, at least not with grace, at least not with wisdom. So the people are able to celebrate every miracle they had along the way. They are able to take in the beauty of this moment. And the 12 stones, well, we know many breastplates, like on a Torah, have 12 different stones, one for each of the tribes. These stones come back to this story, this moment of remembering miracles that our people face, what it's like to enter into a new promised land. But when it all comes down to it, it comes down to these two words in the Torah, chazak ve'amatz, be strong and resolute. Because God knew that the journey of the Israelites was far from over. And God knew that there would be a lot of strength needed along the way in order to live as our best selves, in order to make the most of every situation. And I hope that as we continue to go through this pandemic, going ever closer to things that feel more normal, that we continue to be strong and resolute in our journey, knowing that we still have a ways to go and there is so much wisdom that could be gained by reflection. So today's question is, what new questions do you have that you would like to live into? What from this past year, what from just new experiences of entering something, entering the unknown, what is it within those that you would like to kind of live into, to make meaning from? And tomorrow, we will come back for one final teaching relating to the Omer. But right now, let us do what we've done every morning, which is to offer the Mishaberach prayer, the prayer for healing for people in our world, for people in the state of Israel and Gaza, for people who are in need really of any kind of healing at all. This Mishaberach prayer is a prayer for you. Mishaberach Avotenu Echor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishaberach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Lehavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with Refuah Shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say hope everyone has a truly wonderful day. Today we have a phenomenal bat mitzvah that is going on at 10 o'clock, to which you are all invited. It'll be solely on Zoom. And then I believe we have meditation later today. And then at 7 p.m., there will be Havdalah with Cantor Alan. I hope that you can attend any or all of these things. And then, of course, come back tomorrow for our final day of counting the Omer. I look forward to seeing you soon.